Good afternoon and welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting for the Board of Adjustment for September 7th, 2017. Before we call the meeting to order, just want to remind everyone, if you have a cell phone, if you could put it on silent, that would be much appreciated. Also, please don't speak until you're at the podium, and when you get to the podium, be sure you give your name and address for the record so we can keep that. And if you wish to speak on a matter on the agenda today and you haven't filled one of these out, it'd be great if you could. If you're the applicant, you don't need to worry about that. So with that, our first order of business is to receive the minutes from the August 17, 2017 meeting.
So moved. Second.
I have a motion and a second to receive the minutes from the August 17, 2017 meeting. Please cast your votes, please. And it is approved. Next item is continuance or withdrawal requests from staff or applicants. Do we have any?
We have one request from the applicant to continue item number 10, case number 14374, to the October 5th meeting.
Is there anybody here that was hoping to be heard on item number 10, which is case number 14374? With that, I'll take a motion.
I move to continue case number 14374.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to continue case number 14374 to the October 5th, 2017 meeting. Please cast your votes, please. And it is continued.
We have item number 1, case number 14369, request for a variance to permit signs located on street right-of-way in the R1 single-family residential district. The following locations: Northwest 122nd Blue Sage Road, 122nd Thorn Ridge Road, Northwest 122nd Quail Creek Road, Northwest 135th Street Clearbrook Road, and also a variance to the maximum height, size, and number of signs at the following location: all four corners of Northwest 122nd and Quail Creek Road.
Good afternoon. Tim Johnson with Johnson & Associates, 1 East Sheridan Avenue, Oklahoma City, 73104. Good afternoon. I'm not going to bore you with all these boards. I think everybody's going to be familiar with Quail Creek and the fact that it's been there for 40 to 50 years. They're upgrading their signage. That they've had signage in their medians, most of their major intersections, which there's a lot of, to the major section line roads had median signs, and they're coming back and replacing those with a much more modern, good-looking sign. And in order to do that, we have to get a variance to have, number 1, a sign in the median, and number 2, the size of the sign is only 18 square feet. And historically, I think that only counted the letters, but I can't find anything that records that. So I think you're going to see a lot of these until that regulation changes, because they're counting like if we do a wall behind the sign, things like that, that's all counted as part of the sign. So you can't build much with 18 square feet. So what the staff has put up is what the new walls are going to look like. On your right, those will be the corner at the triangles, and the left image is the typical in the median sign.
How many of the signs are medians? How many are new signs?
These are all replacing existing signs.
Even the medians?
Yes.
Okay. What is the square footage of is that a stone inset that says Quail Creek? What's that made out of?
Yeah, that's a cast stone.
Okay, that's what I figured. What's the square footage of that?
Of just that little piece?
Yeah, do you know?
It's probably close to your 18 square feet. It's about 8 by 2, looks like. I don't have a dimension exactly on that. It's about 8 by 2. The overall sign is approximately 5 by 11, the exposed piece.
Board members, any questions for the applicant? Is there anybody else that wishes to be heard on this matter today? Please come forward and state your name and address for the record, please.
I'm Chip Carter, 11549 Twisted Oak Road in Quail Creek, 73120. I'm president of the Quail Community Foundation and a board member of the HOA, and here to support this. This is part of a beautification project we've been working on for years. We've done a number of the other entrances. The package before you is what we're calling our phase 2, and is a part of a master plan. And would ask for your support and wanted to let you know that the community, our neighborhood is excited about this. We've raised between $250,000 and $300,000 the past couple of years to build this, and we think it's a great improvement to our community. So, thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else who would like to be heard on the matter?
There's no more discussion. I'd make a motion to approve the application.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve case number 14369. Please cast your votes, please. Apparently I didn't turn the machine off. There we go. And it is approved.
Item number 2, case number 14380, request for a variance to the number, height, size of signs in the R1 Single Family Residential District located at 11800 North Rockwell Avenue.
Good afternoon. I'm Brian Chastain, Principal, PC North High School, 11800 North Rockwell, 73162. And our goal is to, we have a marquee that's been there since the 80s. And our goal through the process was to raise money, and we have to purchase an LED marquee. Throughout the process, we learned we had other signs that did not have the permits throughout the years from the 1980s. So we're just coming forward to make that right today and ask they update the other 9 also. But to make this an LED marquee that our public and community can view and see as they enter our school and drive by our school.
You're not enlarging the sign, you're just replacing the old placard with an
Correct.
EMD sign, is that correct?
Correct.
Board members, any questions for the applicant?
I would just note that the increase is substantial over what's allowed, but because the signs were not permitted properly in the first place and they're simply replacing the signage portion of an existing sign, I would support your request for a variance.
My other comment also would be that I've noticed with schools, and the comments made by staff is with respect to schools and those kinds of structures, it's important to get direction in signage. I think this is it's very important to have this type of signage there, and I think it would be in order to.
If there's no more discussion, I'd make a motion to approve the application.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve case number 14380. Please cast your votes, please. And your application is approved.
Thank you very much.
Item number 3, case number 14394, request for a variance to the 2.5-story height limit for a structure in the R1 Single Family Residential District located at 708 Northwest 36th Street.
Hi, I'm Mallory Knudsen, 708 Northwest 36th Street, and I am here to ask for a variance to the 2.5-story rule to be able to utilize it as extra square footage. I was unaware in the design process that it would be considered a 3-story because of the one-slope roof.
Are you aware of what makes it 2.5 versus 3? I mean, could you articulate that for us? What was that presented in your original application?
No, it was.
In your permit, was that presented in your permit?
Well, no, because in the design process is when I decided to use the attic space as square footage. But the same design with the one-slope roof was, and yes, I know the difference between 2.5-story and 3 now.
Well, I didn't until 15 minutes ago, to be fair.
Yeah.
So.
I do now, and I can't change it because it's such a tiny little footprint. So I can't do like the regular roof.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think the memo talks about the slope of the roof, the pitch of the roof, maybe has something to do with the designation for the 3rd story, or does anybody know?
It is on the slope. If she had it where both sides angled down, then we could consider that 2.5, but she doesn't want to change the design of it, wants to leave it like this, so that makes it a 3-story.
I don't think there was any intent to deceive or to not be in compliance. I think, we heard this case before, and I think, it's just the interpretation of the roof line is interpreted as a 3rd story. She's under the 35-foot limit, and I would support her request for a variance.
Is there anyone here who wants to be heard on this matter today? I'll take a motion.
Make a motion to approve the application.
Thank you.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve case number 14394. Please cast your votes, please. And your application is approved.
Item number 4, case number 14395, request of Crossings Community Church for variance to the number and size of signs in the O2 General Office District located at 14,600 North Portland.
I'm Ryan Brown. I'm a pastor at Crossings Community Church, and the purpose of this sign is strictly wayfinding. We have a large church, about 350,000 square feet. We average between 50 and 100 first-time visitors on a weekly basis, and we're just trying to make it as easy as possible for people to find their way to the right building. I think this sign faces southwest, and so it's not for advertising at all. If you drive around and see the different Life churches around the city, they all have Life Church, but then they also mark their kids' entrance, and so we're trying to do something very similar. I think we're about a quarter mile from one end of the church to the other end of the church, so if you go in the wrong place, you're walking quite a distance.
Board members, questions?
I would just make an observation. Some of these church campuses are so large now, and buildings are spread out over a very wide area. And, I think we all feel like, appropriate signage is good to make sure that people get safely to whatever their destination is. And so I think, we always think twice about signage and setting, in motion, too much signage and inappropriately sized. But the scale of this campus, the scale of these buildings, and, the scale of this campus, I think probably warrants approval of this variance request.
Is there anyone else that would like to be heard on this matter? I will take a motion.
I move approval.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve case number 14395. Please cast your votes, please. And your application is approved.
Thank you.
Item number 6, case number 14397, request of Caliber Development Company LLC for a variance to the maximum height and size of neighborhood identification sign located in a street median in the R1 Single Family Residential District located at 12,605 Northwest Expressway.
Did you skip 5?
We did. We'll play it cool. Go ahead.
Maybe I napped through that. Tim Johnson with Johnson Associates here again. This is a similar request to what we just talked about on the Quail Creek, but this is a new addition. They have the single boulevard entrance on Northwest Highway. We're asking for the variance to allow the sign in the median, as shown here, and then also, as an example, these are signs that are typical in the northwest quadrant, not far from here. You can see the brickwork, and the sign itself is just letters, but all the landscaping, all the brickwork and things like that all add up to a larger sign. So that's why we're...
I noticed in this application, it does provide that the sign lettering itself is 18 square feet.
That's correct.
Okay. Board members, questions? Anybody here that would like to be heard on this matter? I will take a motion.
Move approval.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve case number 14397. Please cast your votes, please. And your application is approved.
Item number 7, case number 14398.
Can we do 5?
Did we not do 5?
Yeah. It's all right.
Item number 5, case number 14396, request of W. Blake Testamentary Trust for to the minimum number of required parking spaces in the I-2 Moderate Industrial District located at 401 Southeast 59th Street.
Don't take that
Apologize about
skip
that.
personal. Yeah.
John, you're scaring me to death. I thought maybe I'd slip back in and continue my case.
I was trying to move you to the end.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, my name is Joe Covey. I'm here on behalf of the applicant, Mr. Blake Gibb. A little bit of history on this piece of property. It was originally built back in the 70s and used for years and years for the Rainbow Bread Company as one of their distributing locations. Mr. Gibb purchased this property about 2 years ago, and remodeled it, put new siding, air conditioning, stuff like that. He had a group of people come to him. They were looking for a large indoor facility, clear span type building that they could use for an indoor softball practice facility. He entered into a lease agreement with them. They went ahead and started putting some stuff in place, then came down and got applied for a remodel permit, a change of use permit. At that time, it was told to them, and they'd already put quite a bit of money into the thing, that they required 99 parking spaces. While I'm talking, I'm going to hand, I didn't get a PDF that shows the interior makeup of the facility. This is a private practice softball facility for females, for high school and college players. It is a scheduled facility. You cannot just go in at any time. You have to have your team scheduled to come in there to practice. They have 7 batting cages, a weight and strength area, and then a little workout area to the side, but they have a large, in the northwest corner, a large infield training, a full diamond area for the girls to bat and field balls and stuff like that. It is the use that was picked by the staff, and I have no, there's no arguing. It is an indoor facility, but it's not like an arcade where you've got people coming in off of the street and there's no control over how many people come in and how many people are there at any given time. The scheduled for this facility is 20 to 25 people at any one given time. What prompted this application, like I said, was the remodel or the change of use permit. There is enough parking to put 34 spaces. I was over there yesterday while they were practicing. They had 2 teams in there, or pieces of 2 teams in there, and the back part of the property wasn't being used. The front and the side of the facility where the parking spaces are were pretty much filled up, but they had the 16 spaces that we're showing on our site plan across the back weren't being used. I parked back there, but that was it. It's a specialized, it's a unique use that really doesn't fit the use unit that was picked out. We would ask that the board grant us a variance based on the type of use, and it be not for the board to pick a use and to dictate a use, but it be the private indoor softball facility. He has a 3-year lease on this building, and at the end of 3 years, because of certain circumstances, he's probably not going to renew their lease. So it'd be a time limit. And so I'm asking on their behalf that the board grant the variance for this facility.
What's the duration of the lease? You said after this they're probably not going to renew. What's the duration?
The lease will run out in about 2.5 years.
How did you get to the 99 number? Did staff give that information to you, how they got to the 99?
It's based on 1 parking space for every 200 square feet of the building, and the building's a 20,000 square foot building.
But what was the use classification they gave you?
The use classification is for participant recreation and entertainment indoor, 8300.55. And I have a copy of it if you'd like to. That is the closest use, I'll agree, that fits it, but it really is not.
Here's the reason I asked. Here's my comment. It would seem to me that classification contemplates a lot of public participation with the site. So the public comes and goes from bowling alleys. They come and go from billiard parlors and dance halls. This is not a public facility per se. You have to have a
membership. Your team has to be a member of this facility, and they limit the number of teams they take into this facility because they don't want people getting up. I mean, they have enough time schedules, time slots to handle the teams that are members. But they're not, from what I understand, they're not taking on any new teams.
Just out of curiosity, would you be opposed to a condition on your variance for a time period?
I think for this use, there's probably two ways the board could do this. One is, as long as this use is the type of use that's in there, the variance stands. If this use goes out, they got to take it back to an I-1 use, and that's it. And we can meet the I-1 regulations because of warehouse and office warehouse use unit. It only requires one parking space for every 1,000 square foot, and we got more than 20, and so that's what the requirement would be. But as long as this facility and this type of use was in there, I guess my first request would be that you grant it for as long as this use stays there, but if when it goes out, all bets are off.
Board members?
Can I ask the city attorney if we could condition this, two questions, temporary for 3 years, or A, B, and as long as that lease is in existence, I don't think we could probably do that, but B, can we condition the use to this particular private facility? Because if you leave, I mean, if we can't do the 3 years, if you leave, then if you have the variance, as you understand, that parking wouldn't work if we're open for the public. And also, you have some private, some vacant land that looks like it might be for sale that's next to it. I don't know if that's true or not.
If Mr. Gibb wanted to sell the building, then these people would have to leave. And I can assure you, Mr. Gibb is not going to release this building, not going to lease it again to any type of use that doesn't fit totally within the I-1 district or I-2 district.
To answer your question, though, the board could choose to issue the variance for a period of, say, 3 years, if that's something that the board wanted to do. But if we were going to track it with this particular use unit, that's going to be very difficult to enforce if the use does change from the participant recreation and entertainment indoor.
I agree. Conditioning it to the use doesn't really work. There's no enforcement mechanism for that. So I would favor a variance request for a period not to exceed 36 months or 3 years.
That's entirely up to the board.
That way, if the use extends, beyond 3 years, you can come back and make your case again. And if, in fact, they do not renew, then the issue resolves itself.
Okay.
If there's no other discussion, that's a motion.
Is there anyone else that'd like to be heard on the matter before we take motions? No? Okay.
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second to approve case number 14396. Please cast your votes, please. And your application is approved on the condition that the variance will last 3 years. That was the motion, right? That's okay. So just to be clear on that.
Thank you.
Yep.
Now we'll get back to our regularly scheduled. Item number 7, case number 14398, a request for a variance to the 12-foot wide non-conforming drive in the R1 single-family residential district located at 2740 Somerset Place.
Hello, my name is Michael Lucht. I live at 2740 Somerset Place since 1998. Keep it short and simple. I like to use my whole driveway again without getting penalized for $600 from the city. The house was built in 1939. The house was added on. You can see by the picture in the original garage. It was added on in the 70s. I tried to pull a permit on it. Mr. Wilson said I might as well be looking for the Ark of the Covenant for that permit. The present driveway where those two vehicles are parked on an angle, that's been there since the 70s. And Mr. Locke from Code Enforcement said I could park on the street. The street's only 18 feet wide. It causes a traffic impediment. And I just would wish just to be parked, use all my driveway.
I would also like to point out that if he did park on the grass, so to not be on the 18-foot wide street, he would be eligible for another citation.
I'm going to support your various requests, and what I would suggest is to avoid further citations. I know the planning is going to consider this later this month, is instead of parking in that wider portion of your driveway, I know it's inconvenient to probably park one car behind another, and when you need to move, somebody needs to temporarily move over there, but that would allow you to avoid further citations by not parking over there. There's no reason to just keep accruing more citations. And then, you may want to attend that planning commission meeting and perhaps, make your case about why. But it sounds to me like that there's a resolution in sight, but I understand your situation, and I feel that it's something that needs to be corrected, and sounds like it probably will be.
Well, as of now, I'm using the charity of neighbors. I have 6 vehicles. I'm trying to sell them, and I'm using the charity of neighbors to park in their unused driveways.
I would just do everything you reasonably can to avoid, leaving cars parked there so that when code enforcement comes by, they see that and they write you another citation, and just tolerate the inconvenience perhaps of moving cars a little more than you would like to.
Well, if we approve the variance today, he would be able to park side by side, not have to do the tandem parking.
Other comments? Anybody else wants to be heard on this matter? I will take a motion.
I'll move approval.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve case number 14398. Please cast your votes, please.
Thank you.
Your application is approved.
Item number 8, case number 14399, request for a variance to the required front yard setback in the C4 General Commercial District located at 4318 Northwestern Avenue.
Good afternoon. I'm Ryan Smith, Smith Design Company, president at 1011 Northwest 6th in Oklahoma City, 73106. We are applying to the board today for a variance to the front yard setback concerning improvements to what have been temporary patio dining situations and bringing those up to become permanent. These areas are not designed to be any different in measurement than they are existing now. We are maintaining the public right-of-way for north-south egress beyond the building, and I'm here to answer any questions that you might have.
The only question that I have is just kind of from your application. So it says the lack of a conditioned vestibule negatively impacts the use of the space inside the restaurant. Can you explain that to me?
Yes, sir. The front door, this is the existing Sushi Nico restaurant on Western. The front door is west-facing, and they have an issue with wind. So in the past, they had fabricated a canvas vestibule that has become dilapidated. It's a maintenance issue. It's not necessarily as easy to egress and enter the building as it could be, so we are trying to make improvements to that by making it a permanent structure, which is encroaching on the front setback. We're not doing anything that's different than what was there, other than taking the temporary improvements and making them permanent, so asking for permanent permission to do that.
How exactly are you doing the seating differently from what you're currently doing now?
We will be installing permanent booths and walls that separate the booths that do not encroach to the west any farther than any part of the existing building. There is an existing canopy that's on the building now, and everything that we're doing would be underneath of that canopy, which is, again, outside of what we understand the public right-of-way to be. And we are permanently creating a glass vestibule in front of the front door that has the front door at an opposing angle coming off the south to try to minimize direct wind and unconditioned air from entering the restaurant. So you would enter from the south, you make a 90-degree turn, and go into the restaurant from the west, being also a conditioned vestibule. So adding air conditioning to that to try to just make it a little bit more comfortable. This is also concurrent with a building permit application that we'll be submitting later to just renovate some of the finishes on the front of the building where they're very old and need to be updated. No special permissions or variances there, but letting the board know that we're doing this in concurrently with renovating the front of the building as well.
Other questions for the applicant? Is there anybody else who would like to be heard on this matter today? If there's no more discussion, I'll take a motion.
I move approval.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve case number 14399. Please cast your votes, please. Your application is approved.
Thank you for your time and consideration.
Item number 9, case number 14400, request for a variance to the 25-foot rear yard setback in the PUD 1465 district located at 13617 Old Iron Road.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I'm Kevin Coy, 13617 Old Iron Road, Edmond 73013. We had contracted Thunder Pools to build a pool in a new home we're constructing in the neighborhood, which is a new neighborhood. We contracted with Thunder. Our understanding was they would gather the permit to do the pool, to build the pool. They did that. My understanding is they got the permit approved. They began digging the pool, dug the pool, proceeded to start the rebar work for the concrete, and at that point in time, they were contacted to say the permit was illegal, that it had violated the setback. So we are requesting a variance to the setback.
But the permit was actually issued?
That's my understanding. Is that right, John?
Yes, the permit was issued.
Board members, questions for the applicant? I do have somebody who's signed up to speak on this matter, so if you give her an opportunity, that would be great. Kathleen Ryan.
Thank you for my opportunity to speak to you about this today. I have photos I would like to show you. Excuse me a second, that was supposed to be on. Sorry about that.
Ms. Ryan, if you could, would you give us your name and address for the record?
Oh, I'm sorry. My name is Kathleen Ryan. I'm representing Michael Ryan, who is my domestic partner, life partner. And we both live at this residence at 5100 East Memorial Road, which is actually behind the house that is being discussed here. Okay? I was here a couple of months ago on a different variance, and at that time I didn't realize that was for the side of the house. This is for the back of the house. And what happened was about a week after that hearing, they dug a pool. And I could tell by the way it was going to be over the variance again. And what they've done is, I have photos here, starting on 7/21. And what they did was they went ahead and dug it. They left it sit for about a month. And I'd like to show you these photos where it was started, if you wouldn't mind, please. These are the These are also from my driveway and then from my property line. And that was on the 21st of July. Then on the 2nd of August, they decided to start building this, and we had not gotten the variance yet. And so, as it goes, they just continued working on it, and let's see which pictures I have. I thought I had them all in order. They just kept building on it, and there they do a little bit now and then, a little bit now and then, and then it just got wider and wider, and to the point where I could literally stand on my property line and without any effort toss a stone into the pool. Now, there's no room whatsoever for a privacy fence around that would secure so a child didn't fall into the pool. There's no, when you walk off of that patio, you are in the pool. And there's no, they haven't started any kind of fence around there for that. And also, these are the latest. I'm sorry I didn't get these to you before now. I was in the hospital. But here are the rest of the photos. Pink, the one with the pink flag is the corner of my property line and how I see it. These are not zoomed in, zoomed out. This is just taken from my cell phone. And these are all that I have. And I'm just not happy with it because if we decide to put up a privacy fence between the two of us, there's going to be a problem with that as well. And I'm also concerned about, speaking of well, I'm concerned about our well because we're only about 60 feet apart from where my well is to where theirs possibly is and where the pool containment is, where you run the pool from. And I have one other argument about that is they didn't wait to get the variance. They went ahead and built it, and as of yesterday, for the last week, I've been unable to sit outside because they've been painting, sawing, and all this dust and everything's been coming over my house, not to mention the music. And I'm just real upset with this altogether.
Thank you, Ms. Ryan.
Thank you.
Board members, discussion?
To hear from the applicant in response to the comments made. And was there another variance on this property? Is that what you were talking about? I'm not sure I understood what you were saying. Okay, thank you.
Yes, there is, and that was approved as well. So I think the way that they zoned it, we do have a well. They didn't run city sewer, so my understanding is the setbacks, because it wasn't on city utilities, changed the setback rule. So on the north side, that's on the Memorial side, we have a 25-foot setback from the wall, which meets the setback. On the south side, there's a 6.5-foot setback from the property line, which is too close. That's what we got the variance on, which was approved, and that did happen a month and a half ago, I believe. I would tell you, at least from the perspective of the well interference, if there's, I don't understand that, but on the front south east side of our property is where our well is located, so there should not be interference from a well perspective, if that's one of the arguments. We are going to put a 6-foot cedar fence that will go in about a week and a half on the west side of the property, which would be between our property and her property. So there will be a 6-foot cedar fence on the back side, on the south side, and then we'll use the stone wall of the neighborhood on the north side. And there will be an wrought iron fence on the front side, so it will be an enclosed yard in about a week and a half.
Part of what makes this unfortunate is that he was issued a building permit, and so the construction began on the pool. And, you know, the violation was found after construction had started. Your concerns about your well, he's indicating that the well is safe, that your well is safe. He's indicating that he's going to address privacy between neighbors by building a fence. And I think, you know, during the construction, there's always going to be some disruption and some noise and, you know, things like that. And it's a temporary thing that should abate once the construction is finished and once. And, you know, I understand your concerns and appreciate them. And I think, you know, you all are going to be neighbors, and it's in your best interest and your best interest for you all to have a good relationship as neighbors. And so you know, it's hard for me to deny him this variance request under the circumstances. But I do understand your concerns about privacy. I understand your concerns about your well, and I understand the disruption of your lifestyle right now because of the construction.
Several things. Staff said there were no unfavorable considerations. Is that correct?
No, there was none. I know it doesn't meet the setbacks, but it is in-ground. They could build a tennis court there, and it would have been fine. So you'd still have people in that area, so we didn't have any unfavorable on it.
Ms. Ryan, did you want to make an additional comment?
Yes, I had one last question. Will there have to be another variance hearing for the privacy fence?
Privacy fences can be built on the property line. You can build on the setback area for concrete or privacy fences. They can go on the property line.
Yes, sir. Okay, thank you. I did not know that, so thank you.
I'm going to make a motion to approve your variance requests. I'm going to express compassion for your concerns and thank you for attending today and sharing those, and hope that when all this is said and done that you enjoy a very good relationship as neighbors.
I'll second that. Ma'am, I do understand your concerns, and I'm like Mr. Austin, with the building permit having been issued, that's a significant factor. But we do understand, and we did consider your situation, and just wanted you to know that.
I have a motion and a second to approve case number 14400. Please cast your votes, please. And the application is approved. Next item on the agenda is additional items. Are there additional items? Seeing none, any communications or reports? Municipal Council? Okay, none today. Citizens to be heard? Apparently none. Other business? If nothing else, no other comments from members, I'll take a motion. I won't make one, but I'll take one. To adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. And we are adjourned.